Navy SEAL jokingly asked which war she was in. She named all three. So tell me, sweetheart, which war were you in? The one where they handed out medals for typing fast? The laughter cuts through the briefing room like a blade scraping across steel. Commander Dale Hargrove doesn't wait for a response. He's already turning to the 14 Navy SEALs seated behind him, already soaking in the grin that ripples through the row of combat veterans like something rehearsed. He's done this before. Asked the question. Waited for the flinch. Collected the silence like a man who has learned that silence is a form of tribute. 41 people are in that room. 14 active-duty SEALs in tactical gear, 6 senior officers with clipboards, 8 personnel from Naval Special Warfare Command, and assorted base staff who were never supposed to be here for this. The room smells of gun oil and stale coffee, and the particular aggressive scent of a man who believes every space he enters belongs to him. Hargrove is a commander. 05. 12 ribbons on his chest, including a silver star and 2 bronze stars with valor. He stands at the head of the briefing room with his arms crossed like he owns not just this naval base in Coronado, California, but the entire Pacific Fleet extending to the horizon behind it. His shadow falls across the folding table where the woman is seated. Deliberately, he stepped close enough that the shadow was a choice. She is 31 years old. 5'4", brown hair in a regulation bun so precise it looks machined, no rank insignia on either shoulder. A plain Navy utility uniform with a contractor's badge clipped to the left chest pocket. The kind of badge that gets issued to people who are technically present, but not officially anyone's problem. Her hands rest on the keyboard of a ruggedized laptop. They stopped moving when he spoke, not because she froze, because she chose to stop. Her name badge reads Reeves C. She does not look up. She controls her breathing. 4 in, hold 4, 4 out, hold 4. I'm sorry, Hargrove says, louder now, for the room. I missed the answer. Which war, Miss Reeves? Was it the war on spreadsheets? The global conflict against poorly formatted slide decks? Another ripple of laughter, not unanimous. 14 laughs at varying volumes, a few quiet, 2 or 3 that sound like they're laughing because he expects it. One man in the back row, seated alone near the door, does not laugh. He has not moved since the exchange began. She looks up. All 3, she says. Quiet, flat, the way someone recites a coordinate. The room takes a half second to understand what she said. Hargrove tilts his head. Come again? You asked which war I was in. She holds his eyes without blinking. All 3. Sir, then she looks back at the screen. The man near the door is 59 years old. Master Chief Petty Officer Raymond Alt, retired 8 months, reattached to Naval Special Warfare as a civilian advisor. 31 years of service. 4 deployments in Afghanistan. 2 in Iraq. 1 classified insertion in a country whose name he still cannot say in a public building. He arrived at this base 3 weeks ago to consult on a training assessment and stayed because the assessment revealed things that required a longer look. He watches Reeves return to her keyboard. His jaw tightens. Something about this woman. He can't place it. But it's there. She inputs a monthly authentication code for the secure terminal. 38 characters, alphanumeric, entered in 9 seconds without looking at the reference sheet clipped to the left side of the monitor. The reference sheet that every other contractor reaches for without fail. He's watched 4 contractors use this terminal in 3 weeks. None of them broke 12 seconds. One took 4 minutes and 30 seconds and had to be walked through it by BASIT staff. She does it in 9 seconds. From memory. Without a glance. His pen stops moving. Hargrove is not done. Men like Hargrove are never done with an audience in the room and a target who didn't flinch. "We're going to need this space in 20 minutes, he tells her. Full tactical brief. Personnel only. "I'm aware of the brief," she says, still typing. "I built the briefing materials." "Right." He smiles at the room. The smile of a man who has just found a better angle. "Then you know it's classified. Which means you're done in here. Personnel clearance only." She closes the laptop, stands up, meets his eyes for exactly 2 seconds. "You'll want to verify that clearance requirement with Admiral Kessler before the brief begins," she says. "I'd recommend doing it before, not during." She picks up the laptop, tucks it under her left arm. The grip is wrong for a civilian. Wrist angled, elbow tucked, the way you carry equipment when your other hand needs to stay free, and walks toward the door. Hargrove watches her go with the expression of a man who believes he has won. Master Chief Alt watches her go with a different expression entirely. He has seen that carrying grip before. Once, at a school in Fort Bragg that most people don't know exists. A school where the waiting list has a waiting list, and where the dropout rate in week 1 hovers around 60%. She is through the door before he can place it exactly. He writes nothing in his notes. He thinks. By 1300, the story has spread the way these things spread on a base this size. Through group chats, through mess hall whispers, through the particular velocity of information in a closed community where entertainment is scarce. The contractor who told Hargrove to check with Admiral Kessler. The nobody with no rank who said she'd been in all 3 wars like she was listing items on a grocery receipt. The story gets embellished. She reportedly told him off entirely. She reportedly laughed in his face. One version circulating by 1400 has her producing credentials that made Hargrove turn white. None of these versions is accurate. The accurate version is worse for Hargrove, because it requires no embellishment. She sits alone at a corner table in the base cafeteria at 1330. The meal is a chicken breast, and a cup of black coffee, and a protein bar she hasn't opened yet. She eats like someone refueling. Not pleasure, not social. Mechanical efficiency. She listens to the conversations around her the way you listen to signals traffic. Filing patterns, noting sources, mapping who defers to whom when Hargrove's name comes up. Which is often. She notes 3 things. Hargrove has been base commander for 11 months. Before that, naval intelligence. Before that, 2 tours that left a gap in his official record she found interesting when she read his file 8 weeks ago. She notes that 3 of the senior officers in the briefing room this morning will not meet each other's eyes over lunch. She notes that a petty officer at a table near the window looks at his phone, looks at something, and puts the phone face down too quickly. She opens the protein bar. Chews, notes the time on her watch, 13:47. She controls her breathing. 4 in, hold 4. 4 out, hold 4. There is a photograph on the server she accessed this morning before Hargrove arrived. The photograph was taken 9 years ago at a firebase in Helmand Province. 7 operators. 3 of them are dead. The investigation into those deaths was shelved 6 years ago with a classification stamp above the level of the officer who signed the closure. An officer who was, at the time, attached to naval intelligence. His name was Dale Hargrove. By 1600, Hargrove has initiated a formal credential verification. She cooperates. This is what cooperation looks like for her. She provides exactly what is asked for, answers exactly what is asked, adds nothing. The security officer assigned to process the verification is a lieutenant commander named Walsh, who has the expression of a man who drew the short straw. Contractor identification? She slides the badge across the table without touching it with her fingertips. Issuing authority? INSIS, San Diego Field Office. Reference number? She gives it. Walsh types it in. Something happens on his screen that makes him type the number again, more slowly, as if the error must be in the typing. He clears his throat. What exactly is the nature of your work here? Systems assessment, she says. Network integrity. Right. He types something else. His face has stopped having an expression. And your supervisor on record? That information is in the file you're looking at. It's above the clearance level of this office. Walsh looks at the screen for a long moment. Then he looks at her. Then back at the screen. I'm going to need to escalate this, he says. I know, she says. He stands. Leaves, she sits with her hands folded on the table and does not look at the clock, because the clock is inside her. She controls her breathing. 4 in, hold 4. 4 out, hold 4. She knows the exact sequence of what happens next. She set it in motion 3 months ago. She just needs Hargrove to keep pulling threads. He is, by every indicator she has assessed, a man who cannot stop pulling threads. In the hallway outside the security office, through the door she has left 2 inches open, she hears Walsh on the phone. His voice drops to a murmur. Then stops. Then, yes, sir, understood, sir. She does not smile. She returns to her hands. She has learned that the waiting is the work. That patience is not weakness. It is the sharpest instrument she carries. The formal detention notice arrives at 1812. It is delivered by 2 armed security personnel who have the body language of people who have been told to do something they are not entirely comfortable doing. The notice cites Commander Hargrove's authority under base security protocols, pending full identity verification and clearance confirmation. She is requested. The notice uses the word requested because someone told them to use that word. Someone knew enough to use that word, to relocate to a secure holding room pending resolution. She stands up, picks up her laptop with the wrong arm grip, follows them without a word. The holding room is 12 feet by 8 feet. Concrete walls. A metal bench along one side, a window near the ceiling, roughly 6 inches tall, showing a rectangle of darkening sky. The room smells of industrial disinfectant failing to cover something older, the institutional smell of a space used infrequently for things nobody wants to discuss later. There is a camera in the upper corner. Standard base security. She sits on the metal bench and puts the laptop on her knees. They take the laptop. They do not take the watch. Nobody ever thinks about the watch. This is the near-fail moment. The point where anyone watching from the outside would think she's finished, caught, credentials challenged, access revoked, sitting in a holding cell on a naval base while a commander with silver stars on his chest and blood on his classified record works to bury her before she can surface what she found. Game over. Except games have rules. And she's about to show them they've been playing the wrong game entirely. She looks at the watch. The face reads 1831 in luminescent military format. In 14 minutes, a missed check-in protocol activates at Naval Criminal Investigative Service Headquarters in Washington. It activates automatically. She said it herself, 93 days ago, when she first embedded on this base. The protocol designates her as an active undercover operative, call sign Ghost Meridian, operating under Title 10, with direct reporting authority to the Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence. In 47 minutes, a secondary protocol activates. This one opens a classified file at the Pentagon, level Psi/SAP, Sensitive Compartmented Information, Special Access Program. The file contains the names of 7 operators who died in Helmand Province 9 years ago. It contains the intelligence record that was supposed to have been destroyed. It contains 6 months of signals intelligence she compiled before her assignment to this base. It contains the photographs. In approximately 2 hours and 11 minutes, 3 black SUVs will pull through the main gate of Naval Base Coronado. The occupants will have identification that makes the gate guard stand very still and say nothing at all. She folds her hands. The holding room smells the way it smells. The sky through the ceiling window darkens from amber to indigo. She thinks about the 7 names. She says them in her head the way she always says them, in the order they died, youngest first. Petty Officer Second Class Marcus Webb was 24. He had a daughter he'd never met. She is 8 years old now. Her name is Lily. She controls her breathing. 4 in, hold 4. 4 out, hold 4. She is not angry. Anger is weather. She is geology. The door opens at 1956. It is not a security guard. It is Master Chief Alt. He looks at her from the doorway with the face of a man who has been walking toward a conclusion for 6 hours and has just arrived. "I need you to hear something," he says. He does not come in. He says it quietly, into the corridor behind him. "Commander, I would be very careful about what happens in the next 60 minutes. A pause. Hargrove's voice, somewhere down the corridor. "Stand down, Master Chief. This is a security matter and you're a civilian advisor, which means Ghost Meridian," Alt says. The corridor goes quiet. The silence lasts 3 seconds. It is the kind of silence that makes people look at exits. "I was at Bagram in 2017, Alt says, still quiet. Still not looking at her, speaking into the corridor. "I was there when Ghost Meridian pulled 4 operators out of a valley in Kunar Province. Under fire. Alone, without extraction for 11 hours. A pause. "I know what I'm looking at. And I know what you're about to do, Dale, and I'm telling you, as a man who has known you for 8 years, do not do what you're about to do." Another silence. She says nothing. She doesn't need to. The sound arrives before the vehicles are visible. A particular harmonic thrum that anyone who has spent time on a military base knows immediately. Not standard transport. Command birds. 2 military helicopters touching down on the landing pad north of the operations building at 2007, running lights cutting the dark, rotors not fully winding down. Then, the vehicles at the main gate, 3 black SUVs, moving with a velocity that suggests the gate guard had very specific instructions to simply open it. They roll through the operations center lot at 2009. The occupants step out with the economical efficiency of people who fly to places like this on short notice, more often than anyone would find comfortable. 4 of them are in service dress, senior service dress, the kind of uniform you put on when you are going somewhere that will be on record. The insignia on the first man's collar is that of a rear admiral. The second and third carry the rank of captain. The fourth is a woman in civilian clothes with a federal identification badge visible on a lanyard. The 5th person through the operations center door is a man in the dress uniform of a vice admiral. 3 stars on each shoulder. He walks the way men walk when rooms reconfigure themselves around their presence without being asked. Hargrove is in the corridor outside the holding room. He has been there since Alt said the call sign. He is still there. His face has been doing something complicated for the last 8 minutes. The Vice Admiral stops in front of him. "Commander Hargrove." Not a greeting. A statement of a target. "Sir." Hargrove's voice is measured. He is trying. "I initiated a security review of a contractor whose credentials are above the clearance level of this base, this command, and your office." The Vice Admiral does not raise his voice. "Open the room, Commander." The holding room door opens. She is sitting on the metal bench exactly as she was. Hands folded, back straight. The watch on her left wrist reads 2011. The rear admiral is the first through the door. He looks at her. His face does the thing faces do when they are confirming something the body already knew. He looks at her left forearm. The sleeve has ridden up slightly, the way sleeves do on metal benches. The tattoo is visible, not a decorative tattoo. An insignia, a trident overlaid with a compass rose, and a designation below it in letters small enough that you have to know what you're looking for to read them. He reads them. He goes rigid. His hand moves before he decides to move it. He salutes her. In the corridor behind him, there is a sound. Someone drops something, a tablet or a clipboard, and the clatter echoes through the concrete space like a gunshot. 3 seconds of complete silence follow, the kind of silence that makes the ack hum seem deafening. A boot scuffs tile. A chair scrapes somewhere down the hall. The rear admiral's salute holds. The first captain raises his hand. Then, the second captain. Then, the woman with the federal badge reaches for something in her jacket pocket, an identification folder, and opens it and holds it toward Hargrove without looking at him. She is looking at the woman on the bench. The identification folder contains a photograph. The photograph is of the woman on the bench, taken 3 years ago, in a setting that Hargrove should not be able to identify, but does because he was told 6 months ago that the operative assigned to this investigation was dead. The report said killed in action. The report was wrong. The report was designed to be wrong. The vice admiral steps into the doorway. He looks at the room, the rear admiral's raised hand, the captain's, the federal agent, and then he looks at Hargrove. Commander Dale Hargrove. He says it the way charges are read. Commander Catherine Reeves is a classified deep cover operative, Naval Special Warfare Command, call sign Ghost Meridian, currently operating under Title 10 with direct intelligence reporting authority to my office and the Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence. Her clearance level is above yours, above mine in certain compartments, and above everyone present in this building. He lets that settle. She has been embedded at this base for 93 days, collecting evidence related to a classified investigation into the deaths of 7 operators in Helmand Province in 2015. Hargrove's face cycles through something. Surprise. Genuine surprise, which is rare in a man this controlled. Then denial, quick and reflexive. Then something that looks like genuine fear settling underneath both of them, cold and spreading. Every person in this room, the Vice Admiral says, including myself, answers to her authority on this investigation. He raises his hand. The salute is slow, deliberate, each degree of elevation precise. A formal military salute held for a breath past protocol. The room holds it. Hargrove does not move. He is looking at the insignia on her forearm. He is very still. The kind of still that is not calm but the opposite of calm. The stillness of a man who has finally understood the dimensions of the room he is standing in. One of the federal agent's colleagues steps into the corridor. He is holding a documents folder stamped at the top, classified red, letters she printed herself onto orders that came down 2 weeks ago when the last piece of the signal's intelligence locked into place. He opens the folder, reads 2 lines aloud for the record. Commander Dale Hargrove is placed under formal investigation by order of Naval Criminal Investigative Service and the Office of the Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence. In connection with the classified deaths of 7 operators in Helmand Province, the subsequent falsification of intelligence records, and the unauthorized access and destruction of military documentation bearing classification levels above his authority. Hargrove says nothing. There is nothing to say. She set this in motion 93 days ago. He set it in motion 9 years ago. She stands up from the metal bench, smooths her uniform, looks at him once, not with satisfaction, not with anger. The way you look at something you have been carrying for a long time and can now set down. She says nothing. She has already said everything this room needed to hear. They mocked her rank. They forgot that her rank was the investigation, and the investigation was the thing that was going to bury them. She stands outside at 2041. The base has the particular nighttime quiet of a place where something has happened that nobody has processed yet. The sky above Naval Base Coronado is black and immense, lit at the edges by the sodium glow of the city. Stars present but faint. The Pacific is half a mile south. She can smell it. Her watch reads 2041. She has been awake for 19 hours. She thinks about Marcus Webb, 24 years old, a daughter named Lily. She thinks about the other 6 names, in order, youngest first, the way she always says them. She says them now. The sound doesn't go anywhere. That's all right. It doesn't need to. Justice isn't loud. It's patient. Hargrove will be processed through the federal system with a quietness that matches nothing he has performed in his military career. There will be no cameras. There will be no theatrical moment in a courtroom. There will be a file, and the file will contain the evidence, and the evidence will do what evidence does. She is already thinking about the next phase. The investigation file contains 8 names. 7 operators who died in Helmand Province. 6 of those deaths are now fully documented. The chain of command, the falsified records, the man who signed the closure order in exchange for protections he was never supposed to receive. The 7th name is different. The intelligence recovered from the base server 3 weeks ago includes a photograph. Surveillance still. A rooftop in Aleppo, 2016, a figure whose face is partially obscured, carrying communications equipment that should not have been in Syrian airspace, transmitting on a frequency that should not have been active. She cannot identify the figure. She has run every database she has clearance to access. The figure remains unidentified. Someone was there, someone who knew what those 7 operators were carrying before they went into that valley. Someone who is still out there, and who does not yet know that Ghost Meridian is alive. Tomorrow, she has a flight to Istanbul. She controls her breathing. 4 in, hold 4, 4 out, hold 4. Every soldier carries a story that few ever hear. Listen with your heart. Thank you for staying and watching. Subscribe to MVP Stories for more.